Okay guys, I'm going to do a little intro into this video. I was going to try to video the actual cutting process, but it's so freaking loud and monotonous, and so far I haven't figured out how to mute the video while I'm filming and then come back in and do a voiceover. But here's where I'm at so far. I've got it sectioned on both sides. Pretty much the only thing holding it together at this point is the rubber that's inside for taking those strips out and making it shorter like I want it to. So I will look at it, try to make sure they're equal. If they're not as equal as I hope they were, I'll make them equal and we'll go from there. But I had it, held in the vise, cut it off with a cutoff wheel. What sucks about these air die grinder cutoff setups is that when the cutoff wheel is new, it doesn't cut worth a crap. It doesn't cut as efficiently, but the smaller the diameter of the cutoff wheel, the higher the speed it actually turns. So right about the time that it starts really kicking butt and cutting metal like you wished it would the whole time is right before it's going to wear out and you got to change the stupid thing. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now, trying to get this measured out, try to get it zipped out in the middle, try to find somebody maybe tomorrow, because I think we're busy all this afternoon and tonight, but I got to make time to go see somebody with a welder and try to get this thing stitch welded back together. I got to thinking about it because it got a little stinky even with the cutoff wheel cutting this thing or sectioning this mount. So a welder, it's going to be a challenge. If it doesn't catch this on fire, I'd be pretty surprised at this point. But I think if we stitch weld it and move side to side, back and forth, like you would like on a body panel or something of that nature, we should be able to get this thing stitched back together without melting all the rubber out of it. So stay tuned, it will continue. I will tell you guys one thing: that black rubber is some kind of vulcanized rubber. It smells just like a car tire or something when you're cutting on a car tire or grinding it for a patch inside of it, or ooh, it stinks. But I've successfully made a huge mess. I've sectioned out both sides of the mount I didn't want and stuck with this, which has the vulcanized rubber in it, but it's not going to have any stability or mounting holes until I weld it back on to the base plate. So this gives you an idea pretty much what we're looking at. Sectioning that out, getting this thing centered. Maybe have to push this in a little bit on the vise. I'm not sure. I'll mess with it here in a minute and get it all centered and get it all welded back together, and it should be exactly what I'm looking for. I don't know. We'll see. I can tell you right now, that was a lot more effort than I was expecting. Once I sectioned that transmission mount apart, got the base plate or the mounting plate off of it, there was kind of like a residual, like when they did the vulcanized rubber for the mount, it had a little runoff on the base plate, kind of went to both ends, and there was a section in the middle of it as high as these little, see these little dimples that are sticking up. So basically from this outside edge of the dimple on both sides in was probably, it's thicker than 1/8 of an inch. I'd say thicker than 1/8, but not a 1/4 inch thick. Little flat area of vulcanized rubber. That stuff didn't want to come off. I mean, it put up a pretty good fight, and it took a combination of a dead blow, a gasket scraper, a razor nut scraper, and a wire wheel. I want to reduce the amount of rubber that we're going to catch on fire when we're welding this thing back together. So I didn't really have a choice in the matter. All that rubber had to be removed from this base plate. So there ensued the battle with the rubber. thank goodness I end up winning. So hold on, keep moving on forward, keep pushing forward. All right, so we've come to the crossroads where I'm gonna have to get under the vehicle, do my final measurements on how thin I want to make this transmission mount. In its current state right now, it's 1 3/8 inches, and that's if the rubber doesn't compress at all during tightening, if that makes sense. But just sitting here with the section removed, all welding surfaces I hit with the wire wheel, it would be 1 3/8 inches from the mounting surface to the rubber pad with the bolt. So I don't know. In my mind, I thought I needed to be closer to 1 inch. As I hit this stage of sectioning and cleaning and trying to get all the excess rubber off of it so that it is weldable, because I mean, as it stands right now, I've removed all the rubber from the mounting base plate, we'll call it. Then inside these tabs, I've removed the rubber from the main body of the vulcanized mount all the way to the tips. I've removed. So you have a good inch, I would say 1 1/8 to 1.5 inches on either side to cleanly weld before you start catching rubber on fire. Oh, you got to get this thing to set just right, and plus when you weld it you can mush it together and make it the way you want it. But I've got everything prepped for welding, but I want to get underneath the vehicle, do a little more measuring, see if can I sneak in 1 3/8 inches height and use that extra raise, we'll call it raising the back of the transmission, to at least help my output shaft angle on my transmission. I do not want to have floorboard interference, so I want to be able to lift it all the way to the floorboard and then back it down maybe 1/4 inch. So that way I know that with engine flex, motor flex, all that junk, it ain't going to torque up and ride up against the floorboard, because that's not going to be beneficial to anybody. So right now I've got to get back under there, see where I'm at as far as clearance to the tunnel, and just make a decision basically. Am I going to go ahead and trim this down a little bit more? Because right now the base plate will stay the same, but I have the option to trim more off of these side rails, we'll call them, and bring it on down, to wherever I need it to be. So that's where we're at on our project shorter transmission mount. It's not been difficult. It's been a little bit dirty, you know what I mean. I was hoping to do some of the cuts on it with Richard's horizontal bandsaw, but he got sent up to North Kansas City today, so that wasn't really an option, and I didn't want to delay the project any more than I had to. As luck would have it, I have events scheduled for this evening, so I won't be able to run over to Richard's or Andy's shop to get this welded. So this might be wrapped up and finalized probably on Saturday, time permitting, because I think we got some shopping and junk to do on Saturday. So anyway, that's where I'm at on the project. I like the way it's coming out so far. I fully believe that it will be weldable without catching on fire. Even if what we did was weld this outside edge and the inside edges, that alone would be strong enough to hold it. But I'm going to ask Andy and them, do you think we need to do the outside edge, this inside lip, and then maybe just do 3 spot welds right along the rubber, or you know what I mean, like I was talking about stitch weld, where you could do 1 1 1 1, split the difference and just keep moving back and forth so it doesn't actually melt a bunch of the rubber for strength. I mean, I don't think it's going to need it, but I want to make sure it holds up as well as it can. So I will ask them their opinion on it. Richard actually has a MIG, 2 MIGs and a TIG welder, so he could actually control the heat better in these center areas if we decide that's even needed. So that's where I'm at. I've got it sectioned out. We'll do some finer measurements and move on. You guys stay tuned. Please watch these videos, share with your friends, share with all your car buddies, friends, relatives, brothers, sisters, cousins, dogs, pets, whatever. If they like to work on cars, build things, and learn how to port their cylinder heads or something, because that is coming back to the channel shortly. Thanks again for watching.